Okay, guys, here we go, trying to figure this out. Well, I'm at home. We're going to do our best to do it all together. So please be good for the sub, and we're going to do this. So we're going to talk about graphing today, which we kind of started yesterday or last time. This thing right here is in what we call standard form. To convert it to factored form, what we need to do is factor it, which I'm going to walk you through in just a minute. And then to convert it to vertex form, we're going to complete the square. Then again, I'm going to walk you through that in just a minute. Okay, so the standard form of the quadratic, we always want to have that y equals in there. And then the standard form is when we put everything in descending order of exponents. So it's the x squared followed by the x term followed by that constant. Then factored and intercept form, we kind of use interchangeably, and I'm going to show you why in just a minute, but they both mean the same thing. So for intercept form or factored form, we're going to do our puzzle. So here, A, which is right here, is 1, and C, which is right there, is -3. So when we multiply those together, we get -3. So we need factors of -3 that when we add together equal 2. So our factors of 3 are 1 and 3. To get a +2, I've got to make that 1 negative. So when I write it in intercept or factored form, I'm going to get y equals, and then x minus 1, x plus 3. Those are our intercepts. And how I know they're the intercept is I get an x-intercept when y is 0. Remember, we talked about that in the last lesson. So what I'm going to do is put a 0 in for y and get this equation to solve it. And when I do that, we end up with two little equations. So I need to solve x minus 1 equals 0 and x plus 3 equals 0. And so I add 1 to both sides to get this one, to get x equals 1. And I subtract 3 from both sides to get x equals -3. So over on my graph, where x equals +1, I'm going to make a dot right here. And where x equals -3, I'm going to make a dot right there. Intercept or factored form is giving us our x-intercepts. Then, for vertex form, I've got to complete the square. So to do that is where we do our box, extra box, and our x squared goes here, and our -3 goes out here, and then I look at b, which is 2, and I take half of it. So this is going to be 1x, because 1 is half of 2. And this is going to be 1x, and then 1 times 1 is 1. And to go from 1 to -3, I actually end up with -4. So my vertex form is going to be y equals x plus 1 squared minus 4. Now, right here is going to give us our vertex, right here and right here. Now, the very tricky thing that we need to remember is that in vertex form, we get this thing, and it's called our vertex, and it's h comma k. But our h is the opposite sign. I'm going to come back up here for a minute. Vertex form is this. Y equals x minus h squared plus k. So see this right here? This right here, I've got this minus sign attached to it. But the k stays the same sign. So when I'm looking at this equation that I gave you let me change that to pen. When I'm looking at this equation right here, how it says +1, our h is actually going to be -1 because it changes sign. And then our k is at -4. Now see how this gives us an ordered pair? So I'm going to come down here, right here at -1, -4, and make a dot. Okay, now you can see I've got 3 dots. And with these 3 dots, what I'm going to go ahead and do is connect those dots. And if you remember from last time that this shape is called a parabola, and we have connected that parabola. Let me do that a little more accurately because we're going to go through this and I'm going to show you why in just a second. All right, so then we need to look at our graph and we're going to find all of these things. So our x-intercepts, well, we found our x-intercepts right here. Oh, I erased them. We found them right here. So we're going to go ahead and write those as ordered pairs. So our x-intercepts are at 0, 1, and at 0, -3. Our y-intercept happened right here, and I'm going to show you how I found that. Our y-intercept happens when x is 0. So what I ended up doing is I took a 0 for all of those x's up in the top. So I did y equals 0 squared plus 2 times 0 plus 3. Well, if you notice, this and that are going to go to 0. So I ended up with, oh, heavens, that's a -3, guys. If I was there, you'd totally catch me on that. Okay, so -3. So I end up with y equals -3, or written as an ordered pair, that would be, oh, I've done those, oh boy. This is what happens when you get a Miss Stone who's doing it on cold medicine. These are opposite. The X's go first. And I'm sure some of you were like, Miss Stone, what are you doing? So there we go. The X's go first, and here X goes first and Y goes there. So that's what that one is. Our axis of symmetry, if you remember, it happens right in the middle. And our notation for that is X equals -1. Our vertex we found right here. So it's -1, -4. That direction of opening, well, those arrows are pointing to the sky. So it's going to be up. Our domain is -infinity to infinity, or the funny R. Range. Let's do red here. So here we've got that hard ending, and we point up. So I remember I told you that story about my brother hitting the wall. So he hits the wall at -4. So I need to have a bracket at -4, and he goes up to infinity. And then let's change this color. So you have so many different colors, right? So then we're going to put our car right here. And our car goes down first. So we decrease to the left and increase to the right. And if I wrote those as inequality, it would be x is less than -1 and x is greater than -1. So what I'm going to do is do each of these as separate things. So there'll be 4 videos for you guys to watch this lesson. So here's the first one.